Y'all, if you're having trouble sleeping or you've got really achy muscles, Power Pro CBD has teamed up with us to bring you their tinctures and their warming lotions. Guys, these have been a crucial part of my nightly routine. The tincture, take 2 full drops underneath the tongue right before bed, and my HRV and recovery scores have never been higher. And not to mention the warming cream, y'all. I swear by this stuff. It works immediately. 10 plus years of rodeo experience and working out for another 10 plus years pretty intensely. I come across some aches and pains. And so that warming lotion is my go-to to get rid of those and to get rid of it quickly. Y'all can check them out at PowerPro, PWRPro.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, to save you a good chunk at discount.
Yeah.
Okay. Sit down and shut up, kid.
Yeah, 13 hours, more like probably 16.
Yeah.
Did your parents ever do that? I'll pull this car over right now.
Oh yeah. I got that a lot.
Now that I think of it as an adult, that's the last thing that I would want to do is pull the car over. So it's I realized that the threats worked.
That's why my parents carried a wooden spoon. So
dude, my mom did too until we got old enough and we started laughing at it, and that really pissed her off.
Oh
yeah. Crack you one time with that and you giggle. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Just go straight for the fingers.
Yeah, I never got whacked with it and thought about giggling. I can tell you, I got whacked with that sunbuck right across the top of the knee. You know what I'm saying? Like right above the knee, right on the thigh, enough to leave a little raised spot. No, laughing wasn't.
My mom wasn't that strategic. She went straight for the ass.
I mean, if you're sitting in the van, it's impossible to do, right? That's what I'm talking about. Like there's a wooden spoon into the van while you're driving. Like the reach around,
extended reach, and
ow, well, bam, and just whack you right there. Around. And man, I'm talking about get you. And you didn't do a whole lot of back talking after one of those. That sunbuck, she broke one on my brother one time. That was fantastic.
Hey, I'm gonna also set up some light. Keep talking. You guys keep chatting.
That might also be why he turned out the way he did, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, we moved Charlie closer in the van. Both Charlie and Kenan used to be in the third row, and we had to move Charlie up to the second row for that reason because she is.
Yep.
She was causing troubles.
Yeah.
We
usually stick Conley in the back by herself. I don't know what we're gonna do this time because like she's usually the instigator. But we might. I mean, on long trips, we use the Durango, which is just has the back seat, 3 seats across, and then in the third row, it's just a 2-seater, and it's like a love seat, right? They're like next to each other. So what is going on there?
You said love seat. And got balloons.
Yeah, I guess. So anyway, we usually stick Conley in the back by ourselves so that we still have some room for like keeping bags and stuff back there, and she's usually the instigator, but then all 3 of the boys are next to each other. I don't know what we're gonna do besides go crazy.
Yeah, go crazy is probably the guarantee in that situation.
Yeah, it is a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. One day we'll have a little bit bigger vehicle that's dependable. The van was great, but I just don't trust it to drive that far. So,
you ever thought about leasing?
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm actually about to trade in the Durango and buy another cash car and get rid of a payment. We're doing no payments, nothing. So I'm gonna get down to as little payments a month. All of our money comes in, and it goes directly to somebody else. Yep. I'm like, what just happened? What?
It didn't even stop.
What do you mean we
stop
can't
for a snack?
Yeah, what do you mean we can't go to the grocery store for another 6 days? Like, how is that possible? Yeah. And so I'm like, no, I ain't doing that anymore. So anyway, we're like, we sold the RV, which is a big load off each month, and then we've just been knocking down some debts. And so anyway, I'll just wait. I think really and truthfully, if we stay diligent and we're actually pretty committed to the process and don't go crazy, we've already started budgeting for things like Vegas and whatnot. I think within 18 months, outside of our mortgage, we'd be debt free, which means that like I can save 2 months and go buy that car that I wanted to buy, for like without a payment. So anyway, which 18 months seems like it like when you're in the middle of it seems like forever, but really over the course of 35 years, it's a pretty short time period. So that's what we've been working on, is trying to get everything dialed in and not be behind the 8 ball so much all the time. But anyway, living the American dream over here.
Yep.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, for sure. How was Beastmaster, Paulie?
Dude, it was good. Yeah. It was really good. I'm glad you asked that. So I mean, we kind of just sum up the entire trip. Like I had to leave pretty early in the morning. It's like a 2-hour drive from at my parents' house where we were staying over to their facility, and they're on a different time zone. So I had to leave pretty early to get over there, and met Nick, and we filmed some content. They filmed like me touring the thing, like as we're talking about products and stuff. So we'll have a bunch of social media stuff to glean from all of that. But I think my favorite part was, there's a couple cool things. One is I didn't realize how much they make right there. Like they make a good chunk of those products that they sell on the website right there in their warehouse. And that I think is badass. You were talking about the American dream a second ago. Like that's it. Like we're manufacturing quality rodeo products right here in the US. So that was pretty incredible. And they're working on streamlining like the whole process. So like he was showing me like all these dies that they have, and they're like basically giant cookie cutters for all their leather products. Every leather product, I think pretty much every single leather product that they sell is cut and made and sewed and everything right there. So that was pretty neat to see that. And then they got some stuff coming down the pipe, man, that has never been available on the market before. And so that was another really cool thing. So I know one of them is already live on the website. So if you are cruising around on the Beastmaster website and you see something that you haven't seen available from a rodeo supply company before, that's why. Because
are you allowed to tell us what it is, or are you just going to
continue? I think that one, yes. So that one's the neck roll, the bareback neck roll.
Oh, the neck roll.
Yep. So
I'm excited to see that.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks to
look it up right now.
Their product development team, and input from several people, and I believe including you, Logan. They have developed a neck roll, and
that's awesome.
As far as I know, I don't think there's anybody else making.
That looks really good.
Rolls.
Yeah. So I had a Justin Sportsmed like actually made me a neck roll, but then I went and just tailored the back brace, to go with it, and then Junior asked, he was like, I want to build a neck roll. Can I look at yours? So I just shipped it to him, and they've had it for a year. I just let them dissect it and take a look at it.
Yeah. So they're still innovating on it. And trying to make it as great as they possibly can. So, but that is available for purchase.
Can you guys see that
right now? You can ship it out. Yep.
So that's everyone should be able to see this on YouTube.
Yeah.
I love, like you said, Logan helped. A lot of bareback riders helped them design this, which is the most important part, right? You've seen all these neck rolls that get put out in the past, and no one asks the actual guys, like, what's most beneficial? What's the best fit? What's the best feel? What actually works? Because at the end of the day, all these other neck rolls that are out here do not have this part that goes right here in between the shoulder blades. And I think that's the biggest part, because that's going to actually stop the neck from hyperextending.
So you see that leather strip on the back that's actually a pocket. And so that is you can form fit that.
Oh, wow.
No, there's an insert in there that you can form fit to your neck. And so, I mean, you could even take it to sports medicine and make sure that they're setting it up, or like, and have them help you set it up in a way that it is form fit to the back of your head.
Dude, that's huge.
The most important part is the research that they've done with like actual medical professionals, right? Because like any bareback, you can ask bareback riders all the time, but bareback riders are dumb, right? We don't know. And the neck is such a major thing. I've seen some of these neck rolls that guys are making and using that are actually probably worse. If you were to land on your head in a certain way, it's just going to act as that block that snaps your neck backwards. It's not actually going to help you. And so, you know, that's why when somebody asks me, hey, can you help me make a neck roll? Nope, not at all. I won't do it. But I will recommend you go see this guy, go see that guy, go to somebody that actually has a medical background and that can help you make a safe neck roll. Because it's one of those things. It's, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be fine. Dude, my first neck roll was a down, one of those like feather stuffed, like down camouflage vest that we rolled up, and we put strips of tape like around it to keep it rolled up. And then I put 2 strips of tape really long, like 4 foot long on each side, and put them together. And then I just used those strips of tape and I just tied it on. That was what, dude, man, it's just amazing. I'm just so amazed almost on a daily basis that somebody as stupid as me is even alive today. You know, so like, don't do those things, man. Get a professional neck roll like this one. You know, it's set up. It not only does it go down between the shoulder blades, but then I love that it comes up past the base of past the base of the skull right there. You know, we all like it. It's like, well, I can't keep my hat on, bro. Cosmetics does not matter. You're talking about snapping your neck or not, you know, if that thing's too low. And so it looks like it comes up high enough to actually do its job, which is, man, crucial.
Yep. Really cool. I'm glad you guys go down there, Paul.
Yeah, man. It's awesome. They got, you know, we're aware that they have been developing a rigging. I think that has been known for a while. So, and just like after seeing their process, like now I understand like why, like how important that is, because they're going to be able to make a rigging that is consistent, like across.
That's the biggest thing.
Like, with all of the tools and all of the production equipment that they have, like they're going to be able to hopefully like build out a rigging that when you could buy 2 riggings and they should feel exactly the same. So that's cool. And then they got a new product out for bull riders that is in its final testing phase, I believe. I just saw that it went out to Colton Hevelo. He is another Team Beastmaster member, and he's going to be demoing a new style of bell. So that might seem insignificant. But how many? What came about was like injuries occur all the time to bullfighters, fans, even riders of the bell flying through the air, and so they're trying to develop a safer, more durable style of bell, and like that blew my mind. Like
that's awesome.
I was like, who would have like nobody's ever thought of that.
Yeah.
And it'll be safer for the animals and safer for everybody involved too, because I know that's one major complaint from stock contractors is guys will try to home make their bell, like, you know, just welded steel tubing or whatever, and the stock contractor's like, hey, my bull steps on that, like that's got no give and it's gonna cripple them, and so it'll piss them off, and this thing, this thing's gonna have some give to it. It seems very, very durable, so it should last a while, but it'll be safe for the animal. It'll be just as functional in getting the rope off of the bull as any modern bell. So it's pretty dope, man.
Yeah, dude. That's super cool. My first bell was a steel one. It was like the size of a brick. It was huge, and it was steel, and it was from my dad. Like it was my dad's old bell, you know. And I took it in like the second high school rodeo I ever went to. The stock contractor was like, no.
Yep.
Absolutely not. And I was like, what? Why? And you know, when he explained that, like, man, if my bull steps on that, like, man, he can break a leg. Like, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So anyway, the more you know. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And if you don't know, like, I know those guys will answer any questions you have. I'm pretty sure you could even call them up at the headquarters and they would answer questions that you have about equipment, whatever. I think
That's the biggest thing you could do for yourself if you're a beginner in any event is like, don't just go buy what you think is right. Actually find out. Ask people. I know it's scary, but we're all not as scary as we seem. I promise. We're all willing to help. I know Nick and his crew are willing to help. They're out there all day, every day, trying to better rodeo, through what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
hit them
that's
up if you
exactly
have
right.
questions.
One of the other things that we talk about too, and this might seem like, of course they're in the rodeo equipment business. They want you to buy their equipment because that's how the business stays alive. But like one of the things we were talking about was like guys that are not beginners, not, like elite levels, but like those middle of the road guys. Like that was me. My entire career was like just middle of the road average. And I was always so hesitant to upgrade my equipment. So like when I needed a new helmet, I would try to,
make it last
as long as possible. If I needed a new rope, I would be like, I really need a new rope, but money's tight, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And just like upgrading your equipment, like your ropes, your vests, like protective vests,
it matters.
Do wear out. They break down. Like they can only take so much impact before that stuff starts to break down and wear out. And so that was a big thing that we talked about was like, just you're making your living with your body. You need to protect it at all costs. And whatever, obviously rodeo is not a safe sport by any stretch of the word, but why take risks that you don't have to?
Well, it's like what we say all the time. There's very few things that we get to control in this deal, and your equipment is one of them. And your equipment is essential to you doing well. So don't be a dummy. Like, pay attention to that. Make the upgrades when necessary. And it's an investment in your business. If you guys have your LLC set up, if you're doing this right, dude, that's an expense. It's not just $500 is gone. It's $500 that should be bringing you at least another $1,000 back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, that's at the very, very minimum,
Yeah, that's immediately.
Yeah, then, there. But it matters. And Josh Frost is a great example, dude. He looks at his ropes every time he gets on to make sure that the block's holding up, the handle's holding up, and it's just how he wants it. If it's not, he's changing it up. He's getting something new. I had a client just the other day, bareback rider, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but especially when getting bareback riding equipment today's world, the quality has gone down, and it's because it's the people that make them. It's a monopoly. They're the only ones that really make them and do it well. But with that being said, the volume of product is so high that they're having to get out the door that they are not done the same exact way they were as always. Like back in the day, you could get a rig in and it would last you 100 head. It would break down for sure, but you could get by. These riggins aren't holding up for that. These guys aren't even riding these riggins for 30 horses sometimes. I had a client the other day. Nothing happened to this riggin. No smashing, no sitting in crazy temperatures, no nothing. He got the riggin straight up. 20 horses later, the thing is tilted 10 degrees to the right. And so he's sending me videos, and he's like getting into his hand every ride. And he's like, what is happening? I'm like, looking at his body position, looking at everything. I'm like, there's no reason that you should be doing that. So send me a picture of your riggin. Send me a picture of the handle, and it's like, I'm like, that's it right there, bro. Like, that's why you're into your hand, because the equipment isn't at 100%. And that's a huge thing that people forget to look at that. It's not, most of the time it's you, but when you're doing, you're doing everything right. Like, look at the equipment. Look at the equipment.
Yeah.
It's important.
I love that Beastmaster is really, they're stepping in the forward. They're not a new company, right? Like they're not something that's new, but really, like, Nick stepped in. I remember him asking me questions about riggins and gloves back when 2020. We were at some rodeos together, and he might have caught a ride with me for a while, and he was talking to me about what I liked about riggins, what I didn't like. And they've been doing this for 4 years. They've been talking to actual contestants and people using the equipment, and that goes for all of their equipment. And I've had guys that have had a cinch, and the D-ring gets a little bit twisted, and they just send him a picture, and he's like, send it back, send you a brand new one, free. They actually, because Nick is a bull rider and has ridden at a top level, he cares about the contestant. and he wants to make sure that the product that they're putting out there is actually going to help you accomplish your goals. It's not just about making money. And that is one of the reasons why I love what they're doing. And I'm like really thankful to know Nick personally, to have a friendship there, but also our partnership with them is something that I'm proud of. Like it's like that to me, they're leading the way when it comes to rodeo equipment. They're blazing a new trail. And some would say that we're blazing a new trail with the fitness aspect. And it's been fun to watch us grow together in different avenues. But he's man, they're doing work over there. It's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
They're awesome. Yeah. So if you guys haven't gathered, check them out. BeastmasterRodeo.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving24. That is ChampionLiving24. Save you a little bit at discount. Yeah, they're outstanding. We just bragged on them for 20 minutes. It's like, whoops.
Easy to do.
So. Yeah, shameless plug here. Hey, I want to talk today about why training may not be benefiting rodeo athletes the way they want it to, why the training that they're doing specifically. And at the end of the day, doing something is way better than doing nothing. But I see a lot of, especially recently, seeing a lot of information on social media from high-level athletes sharing their training, which is great. However, the training that they're sharing is not necessarily the most beneficial to what we're trying to achieve in the arena. With that being said, like, we just have to be careful here in the sense of what we're looking at, what we're taking in content-wise, what we're consuming there, because just because somebody is good at one specific thing does not mean that they are a professional at preparing for that thing. And so what I mean, again, by that is just because they're a professional athlete does not mean they are a professional strength and conditioning coach or a personal trainer or anything like that. And none of these guys that I've seen have said they are a coach or anything. But the youth, the guys that look up to those guys and want to know what to do, are looking at those workouts thinking that is how they got to where they are. And yeah, they may have gotten there, but they're not telling you about all the little things they have going on, like injuries, imbalances, things that have been going on for years that they refuse to get fixed, that they're just battling through. But we know in the end, like, it won't last. There will be surgeries, there'll be whatever. So let's talk about training today, like what rodeo athletes should be doing, why they should be doing it, maybe what they should avoid. And I just hate saying avoid because, again, if you hate everything we name and like that's the only thing you like, fuck it, go do that. Like, it's better than nothing. But just realize if your goal is to be a world champion or to be the best professional rodeo athlete or just rodeo athlete, you have to be training a specific way, and it has to match the needs of the sport. And when you start thinking about it that way, it gets really easy to start thinking about what we actually need to be doing in the gym and what we don't need to be doing. So, number one for me, I say it all the time, too much intensity. Everyone is trying to recreate the ride in the gym, the actual intensity level that happens. And, dude, that shit's just not possible. You're never going to be able to recreate that in the gym. And that is not the point of the gym, right? In our workouts, we've said this a few times. Few is probably an understatement. That, the gym is meant to strengthen those areas that the muscle groups, the movements, whatever it is that you will use in practice in the arena. So I'm not going to practice spurring a bucking horse in the gym. I'm going to get my hip flexors, all of those things strong, hamstrings, hip flexors, core, posterior chain. So when I go to my spur board, I am strong enough and capable enough to lift on my rig and create those perfect reps. So when I get to the live event, I am just reacting at this point because of muscle memory and the good practice that I put in. I'm strong enough because of what I've done in the gym. I'm capable of riding a bucking horse because I'm strong enough from the gym, and I've mastered the spur board. Now I'm able to go get on bucking horses. I beat level 1, I'm on to level 2, and now we're on to level 3. We can't do one without the other. So in working out, I think guys and girls could benefit from reducing the intensity a little bit. And the way I mean that is stop trying to kill yourself in the gym. You do not need to run miles in the gym. If that's the only thing you like to do and you don't want to do anything else and you won't do anything else, cool, go run miles. Like, knock yourself out. It's still going to be better than nothing. But there's certain intensity levels that we like to keep our athletes around. And it's not even just the trying to recreate. It comes to, now you have to recover extra. Now you're, plateaus, overtraining, like all of these things are going to come into effect. What are your guys' thoughts on intensity and overtraining, lack of recovery?
Well, I think about it this way: stress to the body, to the central nervous system. Stress is stress, right? And so, eating in a calorie deficit, being on a diet, stress. Lack of proper sleep, stress. Life or death event like riding a bucking horse, backing in the box, this high competitive, stress. Intense training sessions, stress. Driving for 12 hours at a time, stress. The list goes on. We can think about all the stressors that you have. So when you're going to the rodeo on the weekend and you're going to ride a bucking horse or you're going to rope a calf on Friday and Saturday, so then I'm going to train really hard and stress the body Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It might take it a little easy on Friday, heaven forbid. So you've just given the body. Now, we're not even talking about your diet. We're not even talking about your sleep quality. Mm-hmm. We're just talking about what takes place in the gym and in the arena. You've got 6, 7, 8, 9 doses of stress a week and very little doses of recovery. Mm-hmm. And so that's where so many injuries we see within rodeo, they didn't actually happen at the rodeo. They were a result of overtraining and a lack of recovery during the week. And so making sure that a dose of stress, it requires a dose of recovery to actually see adaptation. Mm-hmm. So making sure that you're prioritizing recovery and focusing on actually making progress in the gym.
Yeah, I just read a chapter in a book, and I know Doug's read this book before too, but it's a business book, but they were talking about LeBron James in the specific example and how he's totally changed the game of basketball, but he's played more than 10,000 hours, or not 10,000 hours, more than 10,000 game minutes than anybody else ever. And it doesn't come down to an intensity game. It's not like how hard does he practice, how hard does he train. It comes down to a recovery game. Like how on point is his recovery to keep his body from breaking down and able to, and he's elongated his career this far. I don't know exactly how old LeBron James is, but he's been in the league since he was like a teenager. Like
isn't his son about to be in the league?
I think so. Like
he's about to play with his kid.
It's insane. But it comes down to recovery. So like he has, all these people in his corner, like monitoring his recovery, monitoring his diet. He sleeps 8 to 12 hours a day.
He has a chef that cooks all of his meals.
He has a it's all dialed in for recovery, not for training intensity. Mm-hmm. But I do want to play devil's advocate on the intensity thing. Another problem I see on this intensity, spectrum is not too much intensity. It's too much volume without enough intensity. Yep. And so they're going to the gym for 3 hours because they think that that's what they need to do. But in the span of 3 hours, they're not training with any intensity at all. They're going light to moderate. They're breaking a sweat, sure, but they're not making any fitness gains whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And that's a problem too.
Yes. I love that you brought that up because it's either side of the spectrum. We rarely find guys right down the middle, like doing it the right way.
Did you guys see that Joshua Clay reel that I saw it yesterday and it was awesome.
See every Joshua Clay reel.
Listening,
the one where he was talking about
he had the graph and he had this graph and he was showing like the window for adaptation, right? Like if you're doing the same old stuff that you've always done, you're not going to see any adaptation. If you do way too much new stuff and too much volume, you're not going to see any adaptation because you're going to be sore for over 2 days, but if you find that window anyway. I loved that. Like I was like, man, it makes so much sense. And it's really the content that we need for guys out there.
I like his graph too, and I've got a little bell curve here that I've drawn out, and it's stuck to my monitor. It stays right next to my monitor when I'm programming, and so I'll try to explain it as best I can. But basically, there's a bell curve, so it starts at 0 on the XY axis, and then it goes up, it peaks, and then it comes back down. And so we have minimum effective dose on one side. There's this line over here. We have minimum effective dose. We have our maximum effective dose, and that middle where that peak is. That's our maximum effective or our adaptive stimulus. So we adapt within this peak range. If we're below that line, we're not adapting. If we're, on the other side of this bell curve where we're doing too much, now we're seeing diminishing returns. And then you get to a point where it actually comes off the graph, and that's where injury happens. So I need to take a picture of this and try and share it for everybody, because it's probably not real easy to understand through podcast form. But yes,
it makes total sense. Is it right? Is it right above or below the post-it that actually tells you have to do work today? Where is that post-it?
Well, it's not on there.
Yeah, he doesn't have that.
Oh, that's the problem. You need a post-it.
We don't want reminders for that. No reminders for that. No, but I love that you brought that up, Paul. The being in the gym for 3 hours and not doing enough intensity and doing so much volume, that it is not beneficial. And I think so. When I see, like for instance, when I see someone put up like let's say Murph, someone's going to do Murph, and if you don't know what Murph is, it's a workout they do on Memorial Day, usually for CrossFit. It's meant to memorialize Murphy, which was, I forgot his exact story, but it was one of
Lone Survivor.
Lone Survivor, yes. Yeah. So it is run 1 mile, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, run 1 mile. So the elite for time. The elite of elite athletes, like Olympic level athletes, are doing that in a weight vest, 20-pound weight vest, and they're doing that somewhere around like 35, 32 minutes. The average human being is doing that without a weight vest in probably under 90 minutes. Okay. Mm-hmm. The amount of volume that takes place during that workout alone gives people rhabdo every single year, like literally puts them in the hospital with a life-threatening situation. On top of that, the volume of that style of workout, if you do that repetitively over and over and over, you are just asking for injury or for some kind of imbalance to happen without the recovery. And so I see guys all the time that are they're bareback riders, bronc riders, bull riders, doing those style of workouts multiple times a week, and then wondering why halfway through the season they're out with injury. Their hips are so tight that they're tearing something in their hip flexors. Well, yeah, look at everything you just did. The intensity was through the roof and the volume was through the roof of the same style of stuff over and over and over. You just strengthened those particular muscle groups over and over again, and you forgot the entire reciprocal, like the backside of those, right? And so that's why I wanted to address this today, is because just because someone's an elite athlete, what they're doing does not mean they will continue to be an elite athlete or will meet their like full potential, because they couldn't let their own training get out of their own hands because of their own ego. They thought, because I like doing this is the way I'm going to do it. That's fine, but you're selling yourself short. And that's the whole reason we're talking about this today, is like, again, anything's better than nothing. But dudes, girls, like if you're going ham like that and you're wondering why you're not seeing the benefits of your training and why things aren't getting better, it's because your body's not adapting well. You're missing steps here. Go ahead, Logan.
Which leads right into the second thing that I can think of that is, it doesn't match. Those kind of workouts don't match the demands of the sport.
Boom. Yeah,
they don't at all match the demands of bareback riding, of calf roping, of any rodeo event. You're working for 35 minutes if you're an elite athlete, maybe somewhere 60, 70, 80 if you're
without stopping.
General population, without stopping. That is not what you do in the arena. In the arena, it's 20 seconds of everything you've got, like 20 seconds, 30 maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about it's 8 seconds. Well, yeah, but then you got to get off the bull and you got to get out of the arena safely. Like, that's kind of where I like time frame it. So we're talking about 20, 30 seconds. We need power, right? We need power, and we need a big... There's the thumbs up emoji again. We need power and we need anaerobic capacity. We need you to be able to work with very, very little oxygen. We need to develop that. We need to develop that energy system. And all you're doing those workouts. And if you're going and working out consistently without rest, doing those type of workouts, you're just training for endurance. Well, when was the last time endurance came in play in rodeo?
Haven't been in a foot race with a horse in a while. Yeah.
Never. Yeah, exactly. Like it's
Speak
not
for
a
yourself.
thing.
Paul's like, that's a Sunday for me.
Well, Paul did race a horse one time and he lost.
I lost.
Mowed smooth over with a camera in his hand.
I wish that was on video so badly.
Oh man, so yeah, except it was the camera
that lives rent free right here all the time.
for sure. But it's got to match the demands of the sport.
Yes,
Your training should match the demands of the sport, and that's another thing with some of those workouts. They just don't actually match the demands.
No, and so you look at a workout and say even like a set for just one particular exercise, right? If and we put a tempo on a lot of the things we do. To my biggest thing with tempo is it teaches someone to control the movement better than anything, because you make someone slow a movement down, all of a sudden it don't matter if you have a 10-pound weight or a 5-pound weight. Like it's gonna be tough. Guys, girls, it makes you go lighter, but you still get the same effect of that exercise. But even when I'm doing my reps, my tempos, all of that is focused around that time frame. So like you said, 20 seconds all out, 30 seconds maybe max. If I'm doing, say, floor press, a bench press on the floor with dumbbells, and I say 10 reps, and I'm going to throw tempo on there. Say I want 3 seconds down, 3 second hold in the bottom, explode up. 3 seconds down, 3 second hold, 6, explode up. 6 or 7 seconds a rep times 10 reps, that would be almost a minute of doing that exercise, right? So I start saying to myself, okay, their event is 30 seconds. That's way too long. Like the tempo's too long or the reps are too many. So I'm going to adjust that to that 20 to 30 second time frame. Like we're always thinking about the stimulus of the sport. What is actually happening and what is the amount of time we're working? Because that's what we have to train the body to perform in. That's where we need to be the best at. We don't need to be the best at running for 30 minutes or 90 minutes straight, because that has no place in the event. So we talked about resistance training right there. Now we start talking about conditioning. Instead of running miles, let's start setting up sprints, either air bike, rower, or regular sprints on with your feet, whatever it is. 20 seconds on, max effort. Now we're in that anaerobic system, so our rest time needs to be longer than what you think it needs to be. So anaerobic, what is it, Logan, 3 to 5? Or is it? Yeah. So 3 to 5 times. Yeah. So let's say on the long end, you're resting 100 seconds. You're resting a minute and a half about after every time that you go.
Yes, so you're talking about a work rest ratio. Sorry,
yes.
I totally was lost there. But work rest ratio, that's going to be right. You're gonna probably be somewhere like 1 to 12, 1 to 20. But if you're a lot of times your anaerobic sessions, your sprints are going to be 10 seconds. They're going to be 15 seconds, 20 seconds. You're still you're going to rest, because the reason being is you need to be able to give 100% intensity again on the next set, right? It's not continuous intensity. It's everything you got for that 20 seconds or 10 seconds, and then a long rest period so that we can let the muscles reset, right? We can get everything back going. And one of the things that I love about sprints is I love what it does. As somebody that's ignored sprints for the last few years and I've started doing a little bit of research and study. What I love about foot race sprints on your feet is what it does for your central nervous system, the coordination, and you're having to just building speed. And it's something that if you've never sprinted before, you're actually going to see a really big change in the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks of you sprinting once or twice a week. You're going to get way faster, which is really cool. And while is it exactly like bareback riding? No, but there will be central nervous system gains in moving at that speed that will translate to the spur board and will translate to the arena.
Absolutely.
And I love, so not only is it conditioning, but you're also going to be helping yourself with your fundamentals.
Yeah, everybody wants to work on balance training and stuff and proprioception. It's like, well, just sprint.
Yeah.
You want to be better moving through space, go move through space.
Yeah. Or I see this with bullfighters all the time. They're the kings of going out there and running fucking miles. And yes, they are continuously going for a long time, throughout a perf, right? But it's go, rest, right? Because they're not continuously bucking, buck bull. It's not a rapid fire. They go and then they rest. So they're training again, and conditioning wise, sprint, rest, or run a minute, a consistent high intensity for a minute, rest.
Yep.
And like Logan said, the rest time isn't meant to fucking torture you, even though everyone thinks that we do that just to torture people. I hate the rest too. Like everyone hates it. But it's there for a reason. And the reason is to let that energy system recharge so you can go put that full effort in again. Because like when we have a set of eight sets of sprints of, again, let's say 10 seconds on, 90 seconds off, the goal isn't to like see if you can keep going for 100 sets. The goal is to put the max effort out each set and try and repeat that same intensity each time. So whether you're going for calories or power output or RPMs on a bike, like I want that number to be the same. For instance, yesterday I did 30 on, 30 off. I'm not training for rodeo, but when I hike in the mountains and stuff, I do kind of a fast walk and then I'll slow walk. Fast walk, slow walks, just so I never stop, but it also lets me increase my speed, get my recovery. Increase my speed, gain my recovery. I want to be able to repeat that over and over and over and over and over. So I set 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 10 sets. I will build this out over 20 to 30 sets eventually. But like the next 2 weeks, I'll do 12 sets at 70 RPMs. And I know for me, I did a 10-minute test on the bike to see what my average was without stopping. And I got 120 calories, which is pretty weak shit when it comes to a 10-minute calorie test on a bike.
I just did my test yesterday, and I got 108. So
yeah, dude, and it's like, and you feel gassed after that, right? But that 30 on, 30 off teaches me to be consistent at 70 RPMs. When I was hitting 60 RPMs when I tested, right? And so over time, I will build this out, and that 30 on, 30 off will get easier and easier. And of course, as I push it out longer, it'll get tougher. But when I get back to this 10-minute test, I'll be able to know like 70, I'm probably 65 to 70 RPM. I'm going to be able to hold that for 10 minutes and just stay hooked. And is it going to hurt? Yes, but I can stay consistent and stay in there. That's what we're trying to do. We want you to be able to repeat that. So whether it's 10-second sprints or, like I said, 30-second consecutive intervals, we want you to be able to get off a horse or a bull or a run. If you have a rerun or a re-ride, to be able to, you know, you've got that 5 minutes, or it's probably longer than that, 10 minutes, and you're recharged, ready to roll again. And that's what you're training the body to do in that sense as well. It's not just perform in that time, but get recovered and be ready to roll again in the same rest time, which is important, right? I don't give a shit if you can run for 60 minutes. I don't care how hard you can push and not stop for as long as you can go. It just doesn't matter. It's not relevant in this sport. And so bullfighters, calf ropers, goat tires, like, don't go run miles. Go sprint and then work on change of direction. Work on your agility. You know, that's what's relevant in the sport. And so as we're looking at this, just touching back on the whole picture, is like, if you're not getting a coach, at least do yourself the due diligence of figuring out, is this movement happening in my event? Like, am I actually doing this? Is this time frame relevant? It all matters. We're training for specific things, so you have to make your training more specific.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the last thing I'll say before we move on is that we are not minimizing the need for a base level of general conditioning.
Absolutely
right?
not.
If you're way out of shape, or going up, 4 or 5 flights of stairs get you winded like it did me 2 weeks ago, I was like, that's a problem. I need some general conditioning. Then yes, maybe I wouldn't say go run 5 miles, but like a little bit of
do the 30 on, 30 off. Yeah, do exactly what I just said. Go do that for 10 minutes and a walk, jog.
But that's 1 to 2 of your training sessions per
That's
week.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I even have one of
Exactly
those.
right.
I still have one of those in my athletes training, like on their active recovery days, like just a nice little flush. Go jog and walk for 30 seconds, and then we'll hit mobility after that. Boom.
Yep.
But I love that as a beginner. Yes, sprinting is not going to be your best starting place. Sprinting is for someone that has a base conditioning level, has been doing this a little bit of time.
Yes,
and can move on,
and
right?
If you've never sprinted before, one of the things that I've done, and I know Doug's done these too, is it's just like a walking start, right? It's like a gentle start. So instead of, if you've never sprinted before, like start with like at the beginning of your sprint, you're going to pick up pace, but accelerate into the sprint. A lot of times we think about starting in a 3-point stance and we're just going to pow. If you've never sprinted before, just start upright and you're going to sprint for 10 seconds. Well, the first 5, you're just picking up speed, right? Does that make sense? And that'll be a better way for you to kind of get acclimated to sprinting, because it is something that if you have not done in a very long time or ever before, you are going to be sore.
Yeah. And I would highly recommend like looking up some kind of sprinting mechanic drills, A skip, B skip, something like that to, if you're going to go do this, go do it right. Go take the time to learn how to do it correctly. You're going to feel like a duck out of water, fish out of water, whatever. It's awkward. Like doing all these warm-up drills and everything. The first 2 weeks I did it, I haven't done them since I was in high school, probably. Yep. And it felt weird. And I know I looked real discombobulated doing them, but I was focusing on proper reps every time. Like I still wanted quality movement, even though it was speed work. I'm still focusing on getting the reps, the contractions right. So when I started transitioning into that full speed work, I started seeing big results and started getting a lot faster, a lot more explosive, a lot quicker. So I highly recommend looking up some of those drills to help you become a better sprinter. I mean, the internet is full of them. Basic sprinting drills, they're everywhere. You find them without any problems. But practice those, get good at them, and get good at the actual craft of sprinting, and you'll see a lot more results. Let's talk about this is the next thing that ties into usually these guys, athletes that want to do those style of workouts we were talking about, the Murph type, going ham every day. Who's going to carry the boats? Is they're usually really fucking tight. Their mobility is very poor usually because of the consistent output. Push. Let's get tighter, and boom, pop something. Mobility is the biggest key in my eyes in this sport, in maintaining your longevity and your strength and being able to keep going, because the sport inherently is going to beat you up, make you tight, get you injured. If you are not taking care of mobility and doing inappropriate like conditioning or preparation on top of that, you're asking for trouble. Yeah, I said, who's going to carry the boats, right? I listened to I think I talked about this the other day, but Goggins talking about, he's known for all his conditioning, all of his go hard, never quit. But he hadn't really talked about, unless you read his book, all the injuries that he sustained while doing that because of that lifestyle, and that he never misses a mobility exercise training day because of that.
A very important part of like Goggins and Cam Hanes too is that they are endurance athletes. They run ultra marathons, and so they're training for ultra marathons. They're not training for an anaerobic sport. Their training fits the sport that they are trying to pursue.
Boom. All right, I'll see you guys later. That was a great episode.
Yeah, we're done.
I wanted to say that the entire episode, and I just couldn't get it out. That's it. Like all of these things, we listen to all these inspirational people, and yes, they are badass at what they do. Take pieces of what they do, if they're not specific to your event, and use them, but don't copy them because it isn't the same. Those two guys, like you said, they're ultra marathon runners. They run fucking 100 miles at a time. Yes, their goal is to do that. So should they be running 100 miles at a time? Yeah. They're getting better. That's what they want to get better at.
They should be trying to improve at that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly right.
Like, and dude, exactly right. Oh man, that just fires me up about so much more. Like Gary Brecka. So
if you want to be the,
do you guys listen to him at all?
In 20 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Kinda. But I was just gonna say, like, so, like, more personal for rodeo. Like, if you want to be better at performing 20-second bouts of exercise, you should practice 20-second bouts of exercise.
Boom. That's it. And when you're taking in content, consuming content out there, podcasts, social media, all that, guys, no one's fucking talking to rodeo athletes. Everything you're listening to for either endurance athletes, football players, baseball players, or the average human that is not an athlete. The average human that just wants to live a healthy life. So, like, you start talking about fasting. Is fasting bad? Hell no. Fasting is great. There's really, really specific reasons you should fast, though. Are you an athlete? Do you have? Yes. Do you have to compete this week? What do you need to compete? I need energy. What gives you energy? Food. So if I don't eat for days and I want to compete
that weekend, like I'm probably doing myself a disservice.
Even intermittent fasting, which I love, is like, Doug, look, we were talking this morning, and he was reading me this excerpt from a research article about intermittent fasting, and during these guys, these athletes that were intermittent fasting and even just had that narrowed eating window, power was decreased for the first like 4 or 6 weeks. Then a body eventually adapted to it, and power was able. But I mean, even just skipping, which just boils down to most people just skipping breakfast. You're skipping breakfast. You're just eating 2 meals a day. Like your power production is going to be decreased. It's not optimal for rodeo athletes. And you're exactly right. But that's what we've always done until the last couple years. How did you, Doug, or Paul, when you were in college or high school, learn about workouts?
Yeah, internet.
Ask somebody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You saw somebody else that was doing what you did, they rode bulls, and you wanted to ride like they did. So you're like, what do you do? It's the blind leading the blind. Ain't nobody knows what they're doing. You know what
Every
I'm saying?
time I asked someone what they were eating, they just said Trin and Deca. I didn't know what that meant.
On toast. And they didn't know. They didn't. But that's the thing, man, is that we just been the blind leading the blind. And even to this day, I mean, we read research all the time, but we're able to read research for football players, for running backs, and we put our rodeo goggles on. And I know the sport of rodeo as well as anybody else out there. How does this article and what they found with these running backs that did this thing for 8 weeks, how does it apply? What applies? Not all of it does. Maybe there's one thing in this article. There's a whole plethora of articles that don't apply at all. But if there's something that I can pull from that, I can know enough about the human body and the sport of rodeo to be able to say, okay, I think this is going to be a valuable nugget for us to use with rodeo athletes. And if anything that we've talked about today, it blows my mind that you would still think that you can do this on your own. Like, to me, I don't use this as a ploy to hire us. Hire somebody else. Hire somebody. Do something. But we've talked about all these little tiny 1% differences that we've learned about in the last few years, and we're using it with clients. And there's so many little, from the days, how many days a week you train, the timing of your training, exercise selection, the rest periods, whether you're sprinting or like all these things that go into making a successful program. You ask questions, if nothing else. Our DMs, they do stay pretty busy with people wanting help and asking questions, but our DMs should be blowing up with people looking for information, because the way you've always done it is not the best way. If you want something different than what you've had, you've got to do something different. And the time is now. Yeah, it is a wild concept, but the time is now. This is the age of no excuses. There's too much information, good information out there. There's a lot of bad too. There's too much good information out there for you to say, I didn't know. That's BS.
Yep. And we have literally created all of the avenues possible to get that information out at every level. So you're someone that maybe financially you cannot hire us as an individual coach to have us there as your mentor, talking to us on a daily. Well, we have our app that we created for you guys, so you have access to rodeo specific training that will at least give you a guidance, a baseline of, I'm on the right path. If I do these exercises, I know what's going to benefit me in this event. And we've done that for every event in rodeo. When I was going, like Logan said, what did I do? I went on the internet or asked someone, what the hell do I do? What is a good workout for this? I got a football workout. That wasn't for rodeo. There is still no real information about specific rodeo workouts for the masses. And that's what the Champion Living Fitness app has done. That was our whole goal with this, is how do we get this out there to everyone so everyone can, no questions asked, I've got something to do. Go download it. It's free to download. We've got free content on there. You can get free workouts. And then if you want to upgrade the plan, $19 a month, you get access to workout plan for whatever event you want, full demo videos, exercises. Like, it's legit. We have over 1,000 people using the app already. It's awesome. But guys, there's still so many that have never heard about it. If you got friends that are in this, you guys want your friends to keep rodeoing with you, this is how we help each other. Keep feeding each other with good information.
We're not getting rich on $20 a month.
Hell no, dude.
None of this is
if people knew how much it cost me to run that thing for a year,
that's like we're not plugging this because we want to fill our pockets. We're plugging this because we care about the culture in rodeo, and we want rodeo to be better for you than it was for us. Freaking do something. $20 a month. Like, if $20 a month is too much for you, I'm going to assume that you need to find a different sport. Like, rodeo is going to be really hard on you if $20 is a lot.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just like, we didn't start this to get rich. We started this because we love the sport, and we saw a huge hole that needed to be filled in there being no guidance, no information about specific rodeo training. And like, it took me a life-changing injury to figure out that, hey, like, we were not doing things right. Things need to change, or else this is going to continue to happen for not just me, like everybody. There's going to be more guys that had tons of potential that never got to fulfill it because the lack of knowledge. And like, that's what we're trying to fill in with this podcast, with our schools, with our training, with our app. Everything we do is just trying to get more information out there. So,
yep. I'm just going to keep beating on the wall, man. There's been people that have knocked on the door before. I mean, when was that research study published that you showed me, Paul? 1995. The most comprehensive thing I've ever seen about bull riding and the sport of bull riding from a strength coach's perspective. And it was talking about the demands of sport, like how many days a week to train, in season, out of season. It was amazing in 1995. And I don't know that guy, but I'm going to tell you, he's not still in the industry. And he got sick of having to say the same thing over and over and over again, and nobody listening. I guarantee it. And guess what? He's not around today. Well, you know what? I'm real dumb, and I got a hard head, and I'm
super persistent.
Headbutting the wall until people listen, and it is working. But these concepts. These are not groundbreaking, brand new concepts. These are concepts that have been adapted and accepted in other professional sports for 60 years. 50, 60 years, and we're just now like, oh, this might be a good idea. Like, come on, dude, get with the times. We gotta wake up.
Yeah, start looking at professional advice, guys. Again, there's so many other options besides us that are trainers, and I would gladly recommend it multiple people outside of our company if that's something that you're closer to them. Whatever, like, we don't care. Just go get the right help and start doing this correctly so you can see the benefits, and that's what's going to help the sport as a whole. And all you young kids, get after it. You need to start now, right now. Start training smart. Dude, who's that young bull rider? Did you he's a Hispanic kid. He is 13 years old and he is freaking rank. 1 second. His dad, yes, his dad made a big post the other day, yesterday, about this kid's really rank. Like, he's like a John Crimber type rank, and 13 years old, and his dad stopped taking him to shows, to anything, and just keeping him at the house. And people were kind of asking, what's wrong? Like, is he okay? Is he going to continue to ride bulls? And his dad made this post that, at the end of the day, he's great. He's at home. He's still a kid. He's 13. In 5 years, he'll be in the PRCA, he says in his post. He said, until then, I'm going to keep him here, and we're going to do things the right way. He said, because at the end of the day, what I was finding out is all these places we take him, it got him out, but those stock contractors didn't care about him. They cared about their animals. They cared about the bull. They don't care about his future. And at the end of the day, if we don't have someone looking out for our future as a kid, we're only getting set up for not being successful, for getting burnt out, for getting too injured, and life potentially could never be the same for a young kid in a developing stage like that. So you look at someone like that, a dad like that, and I told them straight up, this is the best post I've ever seen on Instagram, man. Every rodeo parent should read this, because there's so much pushing when the kid's talented, but in all reality, we need to pump the brakes and look at, you need to consult a professional that actually knows what's happening at the body at that age, like 13, 14 years old. Like we've talked about before, peak height velocity. This is where he's going to grow the most. The last thing you want to do is interrupt that with a broken femur or worse, right? Because his life won't be the same after that. So shout out to them. Shout out to that dad for taking the initiative and realizing what the future could look like instead of getting caught up in the hype of what it looks like now. It's essential, man. But no, I think it's crucial for every rodeo parent to hear. And I got to look up his page.
I think it's It's Escobedo's their last name, and I think the kid they've got multiple kids, but I think the one you're talking about is Javier.
Javier, yes. You can look him up on Instagram. It's a really good post, worth the read. Hopefully, y'all listening today got something out of this more than us just ranting about training and the things that we don't agree with. Like I said, guys, anything is better than nothing, but there is no excuse for just training one way because you think it's the best. There is actual information out there. There is scientific research coming out about what is the actual proper way to train as a rodeo athlete, and it's known. Quit being an idiot. Take the free information that's there, use it, and apply it. That's it. Guys, till next time. We'll catch you later. We're always looking for a quality protein source. That is why I look to Colorado Craft Beef for my beef needs. I'm no longer going to the store. I am putting in my order, and they are shipping it directly to my house. Some of the things I love about Colorado Craft Beef are the beef is 21 days dry aged. Y'all, it does not happen in a grocery store. The beef looks entirely different than it would if you get it from the store. It tastes entirely different than you would if you get it from the store. And the cost is very, very similar, if not better, just depending on where you are. But bottom line, you can fuel your body with some of the highest quality protein from Colorado Craft Beef. Look, the cattle, they're raised well. They're raised with care, crafted with passion, and, again, packed with protein. It's the perfect choice for athletes like us. So go check them out, coloradocraftbeef.com. You can order your premium cups there, and they also have incredible beef sticks, on-the-go options that you can take with you, packed with protein, and the best source you can get. Again, check them out at coloradocraftbeef.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word. Going to save you some money on that next beef order. As you all know, we are always rocking Hui. Hui has the best gear because it's tough. It's durable. It withstands the test of what we put it through, and that is why I am a big supporter of Hui brands. Guys, from hats, apparel, whatever you need, they've got you covered. They are the perfect blend of rodeo style and athletic performance. You can check them out at huibrands.com. Use our discount code ChampionLiving, all one word, is going to save you a little bit at checkout.